Hey book besties and welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Tia here, and today we are doing a January reading wrap up. And let me just say, like, January came in hot. We had 5-star reads, DNFs that personally offended me, and we got a lot of morally great men just doing their thing. So let's not waste any time, grab a snack and let's just get straight into it. Starting off strong with So Rare by Abby Millsaps, which was actually a 4-star read, and it was a continuation of the series that I was ending December with, and it was a really fun read. I really enjoyed the dynamic between the characters, and it was a really solid start to the month. We then had So Right by Abby Millsaps, which was only a 3.5 star, and it's the last book in the series, and although I liked it, I just didn't enjoy it as much as the previous books. Obviously this is a continuation, so you do need to read the first 2 books in the series. It is a why choose, and yeah, and the whole series features very heavy on vulnerability and letting someone see the true you, and it also has PMDD rep. But then we had God of Fury, 5 stars. I audioed this as well as read it, as you can see by all my tabs. So this follows Brandon and Nikolai basically becomes obsessed with Brandon, and he is determined to wear him down. But Brandon is obviously battling his own issues. There's very much like a mental health within this series. It is a dark romance, so read your triggers, guys. This was unhinged, dark, emotional, and exactly what I wanted. It's a very hefty book. I think this might be one of the bigger ones in the series. Teddy Hamilton as Nikolai embodied it perfectly, by the way. Like, Nikolai was just hilarious, and Brandon, oh my god, I felt for Brandon so much. Rena Kent simply does not miss for me, and the book absolutely deserved the 5 stars they got. Like, I was completely obsessed with this, and yeah, sobbing my little heart out, as you see in my reading vlog. Then we had The Other Brother by Tierney Page, don't know why I said that weird, which was 3.5 stars. So this is a forbidden romance centered around falling for the wrong brother. So she ends up splitting up with the current brother who she is engaged to, and then she starts talking to the other brother who she's a lot more fitted to. It was another solid read, but it wasn't something that completely like blew my mind either. I absolutely loved the banter. So I believe Tierney Page is Australian, and I feel like Australia and British banter is very, very similar. So I found myself literally giggling out loud. It was so fucking funny. But between the characters, in my opinion, there was no chemistry. It was very much like 0 to 100. They had never really spoken that much before when she was dating the brother, and then all of a sudden their connection just came out of nowhere. So in my opinion, I did not feel that connection or that chemistry. Sophie does say the second book is better, so I will read The Sweet Secret. We then had Pretty Vicious by Lexi Davis, which was 3.5 star, and this is like a dark secret society romance. There's a lot of like dangerous attraction, manipulation, and like a lot of power balances. And this follows IFMC, who accidentally walks in on like a crime, if you will, to do with the guys at like this dark academia type setting, and the main guy decides that he is going to keep her. I can't remember what he calls it. I think it's like bond with her or something like that, and he decides he's going to keep her and bring her in, and they don't bring outsiders into this world. There is other women in it, but it's giving like, it's secret society. It's giving almost like Handmaid's Tale type vibes, like that type of dystopian world almost. This one had like a lot of really good moments, and I really liked the dark academia vibes. I don't know what it was that was just missing that 5 star, but I did have a really good time. Then we have The Lies of Lena by Kylie Snow. This was a 5 star. I immersive read this, so I read this and listened to the audio at the same time, and wow, both narrators were incredible. Silas's voice was like magnetic. Like, it was so sultry. I could fall asleep to that voice. This is a fantasy, so we have like mages, elemental magic, and the mages are basically banned from the city. So if you are a mage that gets caught, you get like exiled. I don't know if you get like beaten or anything like that, but you do get exiled out of the city. And we have Lena and Silas, who meet when, I don't know what that noise was. Lena is like, I suppose in her late teens, and she's a mage. He doesn't know she's a mage, and they fall in love basically, and then something happens. They're ripped apart, and they end up staying apart for like 5 years, and this is like in the blurb, guys. They end up staying apart for like 5 years, so then 5 years later they get reunited in a twisted way, and it sort of goes from there. And I cannot wait to read the Sins of Silas, because I just know this series is going to live rent free, and I don't know whether to like wait until I can do the audiobook, because I really loved both the narrators in this, the female and the male. Honestly, like, this book destroyed me in the best way. Like, it was very emotional and intense, but it was gripping like right from the start as well. I flew through it. I immediately, I knew that was going to be a 5-star read. Like, this is one I would highly recommend, and I know I've seen very mixed reviews, which is why I was unsure if I was going to like it or not, but yeah, loved it. Then we had Little Death by Nicole Blanchard, which was a 4 stars. Now, this is like a novella. I feel like if it had been a full story, it probably would have got a 5-star. So this is the prequel to Until Death, which I'll talk about in a second. It's very like a dark, gritty novella, so it's very on brand for me. I really liked the atmosphere and the tension throughout. It was a very strong prequel, and this follows our 2 main characters who our FMC is sort of like masked, and she's trying to find secrets of how her mum died. Like, she doesn't think it's an accident in this house. This house is owned by like this Irish mafia guy, and she needs to get in there basically. He finds her, and I think they have like some sort of game, and he says, if you lose, like, you're mine for the night. I can do whatever you want with you. And she's like, fine, if not though, you have to let me go home free. And he's like, deal. She loses, she stays the night. And then by the next morning, she's like, right, I need to get the fuck out of here. So she like dips. That's it. That's the little prequel thing. Like, you get their sort of first meeting and how they come together before you get the actual full story. So then that takes me to Until Death, which was a 5-star read. So this is the continuation. So you jump straight into this, and it's basically a couple months later after the prequel. So if you haven't read the prequel, I feel like it would be very confusing, because you don't know what their dynamic is. You don't know what's going on with them and what has happened previously. So I feel like you'd be very confused. But this is like I'd say marriage of convenience, but it is sort of like an arranged marriage type situation. Our MMC needs someone to marry to basically be able to go home to his mum. And the FMC's sister was originally meant to be the one for this role, because the FMC is like feisty. She's independent, she does what she wants. And she's like, no, I'm not going to let that happen to my little sister, so I'm going to step in. She does, like, unknown to him. Like, she just turns up at the wedding and has a veil on, and then he ends up marrying her, and he's like, ah, shit. And it goes from there, and they very much like hate each other, and there's so much banter. Like, it's so funny. This FMC is like so good. I was fully like emotionally invested in this. Like, the romance was so intense, and I could not put it down. Easily one of my faves of the month. I was like broken and put together at the same time, because like the ending, if you know, you know, but highly recommend. I don't know if this is going to be like a continuation. I don't know if there's going to be any other more of the series, because it did wrap up at the end, so I'm not really too sure. But it has like side characters that it can be opened for. Then we had Broken Whispers by Neva Ortage, which was an easy 4-star for me. This is a mafia romance following Bianca, who is our mute heroine, and she's basically forced into a marriage of convenience with Mikhail, who is our feared mafia leader who has his own tortured past. I genuinely loved this one. Like, it was a very quick, easy mafia read, and I feel like all of the series can be like that. I loved book 1 as well. That was a 4-star read. Like, we have a protective MMC. We have a lot of emotional depth in such a short book, and a story that's going to keep you instantly invested. I feel like Neva Ortage just delivers when it comes to like angst and intensity, and I love that. Oh, I did have the physical of this, guys, but I forgot and I didn't hold it up, so there's going to be a picture up here the whole time. And we had A Hateful Negotiation by Tijan, is it, or Tijan, which was a solid 4 stars for me, guys. This is also like kind of like a mafia romance, but in a very different mafia way. So our FMC basically is a foster kid, and she goes into this foster care where she finds our MMC, and instantly they are like attached together. So he's giving like protective vibes, and I suppose from there is when his obsession started. He doesn't have like feelings towards anybody else except her, and she tries to like get out of it, because he does everything morally great. Like, anything he can do is to keep her safe. Like, he does not do anything for anybody else. He, like, every motive he has is because of her, and she doesn't like that he does bad stuff. This one is very angsty, like very dramatic and very emotionally charged as well, I would say. I was really captivated throughout the first half, and then because I had like my constant stuff, I didn't really get to read much for a couple of days. So because I had only read like maybe a couple of pages, I think because I stepped away from it, I then sort of like got out of the story. I think if I had read it continuously, I think my rating could have been higher. Then we had The Bear and the Ham. Bear in the Ham, Bear in the Lamb by Ali Oak. Oh my god, guys, I'm so tired. This is like almost 9 o'clock at night. Okay, oh, I'm actually crying. I DNF'd this at 44%. Okay, this is like it's meant to be like a dark Western type thing. So our FMC is basically, her husband is a dickhead. She was in like an arranged marriage. She didn't get to choose. She doesn't love him. He's an absolute wanker, and he gets the MMC hostage. The MMC is not a good guy. He's like a thief and, you know, all that jazz. And he can tell that the lady's husband like smacks her around a bit. So when she comes to like heal him and give him food while he's in captivity, he basically wears her down and he's like, if you get me out of here, like I will protect you with my life. Gets out of there, like whatever, it goes from there. Obviously I DNF'd at 44%, so I don't know how it ends. But they're basically like on the run kind of, and they're, oh my god guys, I can't. Like this was not for me, guys. And I think the thing that did it, I was really struggling to read, I think because it was like a really old-timey Western type thing. And the guy was like an absolute arsehole. He wasn't even nice to her. But she basically took like 20 bucks or something from his like still stash because she wanted to give it to like the orphans and stuff. Obviously she didn't tell him. And he basically did say to her, like, if you need money, ask me. Like, I will give it to you. He said, just don't steal from me. Don't lie to me. Don't steal from me. That's whatever. Which, fair enough. But he was like, I'm going to punish you. Basically, because you stole this, I'm going to punish you. And then she's like, what? And he's like, yeah, so you have the choice. You can go across my knee and take 20 lashes, aka like spanks. Or you can go stand in the corner of the room and stare at the wall for 4 hours and not make a sound. And I checked out. I was like, no. You can't give her the option of, aka 20 spanks. Like, that's a lot. And it was like, and I think he said, like 20 lashes as hard as I can. So like 20 spanks as hard as this man can, and this like dainty woman, that's fucking painful. That's not even in like a pleasure-y type way. Or I'm gonna send you to the fucking naughty corner. No, I checked out. I was like, I can't. That gave me the ick so bad. And I was, like I said, I was already struggling with it. And then that was just the straw that broke the camel's back. Then we had Brimstone by Callie Hart, which was a 5-star read. This is obviously following the first book, Quicksilver. So obviously I can't really say too much without giving spoilers to that, but just know that Ceres's and Kingfisher's story continues in this, and we actually do get Kingfisher's POV in this. Like, I won't lie, I really struggled to get into the book. I would say it probably did take about halfway for me to actually fully get invested. And I don't know if it's just because I forced myself to pick it up, because I was like, this has been on my TBR for like 3 months, like since it came out, so I need to read it this month, I think. So I forced myself to read it, and obviously it's quite a chunky book as well. It felt a bit weird. I know this was a 5-star, but I'm going to tell you what was hard to. It felt weird getting Kingfisher's POV. It was almost like the mystery and alluringness was like gone, because he's almost like a little bit wimpy, maybe. I don't know. But I did like him and Carrion's adventures, and Carrion carried this book, guys. Then we had The Dare by Elle Kennedy, which is the last book in the Briar U like series. This was 3.5 stars. This was about Taylor. Is it Taylor? I want to say it's Taylor. Yeah, Taylor and Connor. And Taylor is a curvy girl, and she basically gets dared to kiss Connor, who's like the hottest guy in the uni. And she says to him, like, I'm really sorry, like I need to take you upstairs. And he's like, cool. And she's like, don't worry, I'm not gonna do anything to you, it's just like a dare. He's like, okay. So they pretend they're like doing stuff, and he's like, well, let's continue this. Like, they've got so much banter together, and he's just like, let's continue this. And obviously, you know, fake dating just always ends up with real feelings. And there was a few things that irked me about this. Okay, so first, I loved the banter, like, so funny. The FMC was fucking hilarious, and the MMC was hilarious too. The first thing is, so at the beginning he was like, oh, her body's like, she's got a massive boob, she's very curvy, like that's how it's very much like a heavy focus in the book. And he says, like, she's got a body to die for, like a body that men would do in their dreams. Like, her face isn't anything like that. But, and then I'm like, what? Why would you say, why does she have to be, like, she's curvy, why does she have to be ugly because she's curvy? Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, he didn't call her ugly, but like the way he was saying it was like that she was like butters or something, I don't know. And then later on he's like absolutely like loved her, like, okay. The thing that plummeted the rating, like if there's one thing that's going to plummet your rating, is having the miscommunication trope. And not having the miscommunication trope not once, but twice in a book. Yeah, that's why your girl ducks out. I did finish it though, guys. Then we had The Mafia Bodyguard's Possession by Kristen Luciani. This was clearly about like a bodyguard and mafia, stuff like that. I actually ended up DNFing this quite early on. I think it was definitely a me issue, like honestly. I just couldn't get into it, and I know that if I forced myself, I wouldn't have liked it and I would have had a bad time. This may be something that I would have liked in the future at a different time, but I know that at this point I tried to pick it up and I couldn't get into it. And yeah, I'm completely owning that is a me issue. Then we have The New Neighbours by Claire Duckett. I did do this physically, but it is my mother-in-law's book, so I don't have it to hand because obviously I've given it back. This was a 3.5 star. This was a thriller, so a little bit different. And basically we follow Lena, or Lena, whatever you want to call her. I'm going to call her Lena for these purposes. And she's got her like 17-year-old son who's almost 18. She has split up with her ex-husband, who she's been with for like most of her life. And these new neighbours move indoors, and they're like in their 60s, I believe. And she's like, okay, they're nice new neighbours. She overhears what she thinks is them like planning a crime. So they're like talking dubiously, and it sounds like they're going to be planning a crime. So she's like, what the fuck is going on? So she decides she's going to put on her little meddling helmet and take it into her own hands and go into this to find out what the fuck's going on. She goes into the house and everything, guys. Like honestly, this was my book club's pick of the month. So it was a solid choice for a thriller. I found myself so intrigued, but the ending really plummeted it. I think the ending was very fast. It was very anticlimactic. Like, you've got this whole build up and then all of a sudden it was like, you know, it's like, do you know what I mean? And not in the good way the firework is. After speaking about it at book club, I actually dropped it to a 2.5 because I feel like the more that we talked about it at the beginning of this week, when I went to book club to speak about it, the more we talked about it, the more I found those plot holes. There was more I didn't like about it, and this happened a few months ago with Never Lie by Frida McFadden. I rated it a 4 star and then I ended up giving it a 2. I think because we spoke about it so much, I ended up not hating the book, but like disliking the book. And unfortunately this happened again. I think thrillers are just, maybe that's what it is. We have The Kiss Thief by LJ Shen, which was a 4 star. I really enjoyed this. So what happens when Senator Keaton steals your first kiss from your childhood love? An arranged marriage is what's going to happen, and that's what Francesca is forced into. And that is basically the premise of the thing. Francesca is in this mafia family and Senator Keaton is trying to get rid of that, and he wants revenge on her dad, so he basically forces her into this marriage that he agrees with her dad. Like, this was messy, dramatic, and so entertaining. I love that LJ's Shen worlds actually like meet up together, and they're very much like they're overlapping. So I've just read another book which I'll talk about in a little bit, and it was very much like you get the characters from the other series. It was very like enemies to lovers as well, guys. Like exactly what I expect from LJ Shen, and I absolutely ate it up. Like LJ Shen is an auto-buy author for me personally. Then we had The Mr. and Mrs. Mistake by Brighton Walsh, which was a 4 star. This one I only did on audiobook because I had the ALC for it, and so I was listening to it whilst I was in the bath, like whilst I was painting, just doing bits around the house. And this is a marriage of convenience romance where the MCs marry each other so that the FMC can get like a grant for her farm. So she has to be married, basically have like a little family to be able to do that. And this is a brother's best friend, so the MMC is her brother's best friend. And I think they didn't really dive into it much, but I believe that he sort of like loved her his whole life, and yeah, that's why he does it. There's a like very much my wife trope in this, like he says my wife a lot, and I loved it. And Savannah Peachwood is like one of those like female narrators that I love, like probably one of my favorite female narrator. I haven't obviously, like, as I discover more audiobooks, I'm sure there'll be others, but at the moment, like, I love her. This was like a very cute, fun and surprisingly emotional book. I really enjoyed the relationship development in this one, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, I absolutely eat Brother's Best Friend up all the time, like every time it's gonna hit. Then we had No Strings Attached by Christy McKellen, which was a campaign I did on TikTok with the picture of romance. And this follows Chloe and Kit. They are both on holiday in Japan, so they both coincidentally had failed weddings, so they both don't get married, but they used to date, and obviously they reconnect that and decide to do a no strings attached type deal, going on dates, like kind of dates, going on like sushi and stuff like that. This was a 3-star. I can't remember if I said that at the start. It was a very quick and easy fun read, but the MMC Kit really annoyed me at the beginning. He was very like spoil and giving those vibes because he was like a billionaire and he was just giving like very like I'm better than everyone. But he did break down his walls later on and I found myself enjoying it, but it wasn't anything that I'm going to be thinking about next week in my opinion. We had a Bad Bishop by LJ Shen. And let me tell you, I loved this. I immersive read this, I listened to this as well. Let me just show you the artwork for this, which is gorgeous. So this is the works. I believe it was like a special edition artwork type thing. And this follows Tiernan and Lila. Is it Lila or Lila? I think it's Lila. Anyway, Tiernan and Lila. And Tiernan is Irish mafia and Lila is like the daughter of like a Italian type mafia. Now she is depicted as being very stupid, she doesn't speak, she's like at the mental age of like a very young child. She doesn't speak or anything like that, she's dim, but it's actually turns out it's a secret, and she's actually very, very smart. She's just deaf, but her mum basically said to her, you need to act like this so that they don't marry you off and then you can stay with me forever. This is briefly in the blurb with less descriptive, but basically her innocence is ripped away from her forcibly at the beginning of the book, if you know what I mean. And her father decides that he wants to marry her off because this is gonna look bad on his family, so he arranges a marriage with this Irish guy. And at first he's like no, but then he decides to accept it, and it sort of goes from there. They very much like hate each other, and this is perfection. They both very, very tortured souls in their own ways. They have a lot of like trauma between them, but this is beautiful and I cannot wait for the rest of the book series. Like Achilles next and Tierney, I am so excited for their story. Like dark, morally questionable, zero regrets. Then we have Bloodstained Kisses by Renee L. Richard, which is 3.5 star. So this follows our MCs who live next to each other. They basically loved each other since they saw each other at 14, and they have a very close relationship. He will do anything for her, and he has sort of like blood on his hands from prior things. I don't really want to ruin it for you guys. And they basically get ripped apart. Like something happens, they end up splitting up, and it's very much like for like 10 years, no, 12 years. 12 years, guys. This is like a back and forth where oh my god, they both like love each other. I've never been with anyone else in that time, but if they both just fucking connected together, it could have saved 12 years, could have saved fucking 12 years. Do you know what I mean? The concept and vibes of this were like, I loved that. The execution wise, it didn't fully hit for me. Blurb made it seem like the MMC was going to be like a lot darker than he was, which was fine, but he was just like mid, so I think I just went into it thinking that, and by a lot of the reviews everyone thought the same. Then we had Tease by Bethany Lauren, which was a good 4-star. Like it was a little spicy novella, why choose? And our MCs basically they have very good communication sexually, and they want to spice it up a little bit and bring a third in. This was a novella that unexpectedly rocked my world. Like it was fun, spicy, and kept me entertained. I definitely will be going back to read the other stories when I'm in like the mood for something like that. Then we had The Wild Card by Stephanie Archer. I actually got this on ARC, gratefully. This is a 5-star. I love this whole series, barring the wingman. We don't talk about her. And I thought nothing could top Gloves Off because I love an enemies to lovers, but this was even better. Like my absolute favourite series. It was fun, banter. We had amazing chemistry between Jordan and Ward, and it was an overall feel-good romance. And the best part, guys, no third act breakup. Hallelujah. I honestly thought there was going to be, but it was perfection the whole way out. And we had Game Over by Bella North. This was 4 stars. This was just on audiobook. I did this, and it follows our MMC who is like a not retired athlete, but he basically has an injury and he can't go back on the football field, and he ends up buying drunkenly like 18 horses, and the deal is that to have these horses he has to keep the ranch hand on for like 6 weeks, which is our FMC. And they hate each other. Like, I think they have like a run-in where he like accidentally hit her car and stuff, and like from there they just hate each other, and she thinks that he's not taking like the horses seriously, which he's not a rancher. Like he shouldn't have bought those horses, but he was drunk. He does have a ranch, like his dad's old ranch. But yeah, and they just hate each other. She has like a daughter. This had such excellent pacing, guys. It had really enjoyable romance, and it did keep my attention the whole way through. Like, and the spice had me giggling like a little schoolgirl. Honestly, this was like a very cute romance and I had a fun time. Then our last book of the month was God of War by Rena Ken. We ended on a high. This is the last book in the series and it was a 5-star. This follows Eli and Ava. Like, we are ending January strong, albeit emotional. Eli and Ava hate each other. Like, they always have. They have this relationship. You don't really know what's going on, but it turns out that she's always loved him and he sort of like rejected her. So then she makes it her mission to get her own back on him the whole way, and he decides to do the same with her. And the beginning of this is set like a year or so after the last book of the series. So the rest of the series are happening like coinciding with each other, like together. Does that make sense? Like at the same time. And this is not. This happens like a year later, and then we have like a 2-year age gap. Ava has like amnesia, so there's the amnesia trope in this as well. And this one is very, very heavy on the mental health, like so much more than the others put together, I would say, in my opinion. I stayed up past 1 a.m. to finish this, guys, and I had to get up early the next morning. That's how much I was enjoying this. I was literally sobbing and praying that Jack didn't wake up next to me, seeing me crying my eyes out. This was honestly everything I wanted and more, and the perfect finish to the series. It was emotional, tense, and clearly Rena Kent rocked my January, guys. Overall, I feel like January was a pretty good reading month for me. Let me know in the comments what your favourite January read was, and if you enjoyed this, I appreciate if you like and subscribed, and I'll see you guys in the next video, and hopefully we have a better reading month next month. Like, we had a good month, but always aiming for better.